Greetings, YouTube shave fans, SuperCurve honing fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore eating fans. Bill here. Today is, what is today? Today it's May the 18th. I'm going to do a shave, a little bit of talk, like I usually do. If you stumbled upon me, if you're a return visitor, you know, I just get on here and yak about stuff I want to talk about. If you're new, welcome. And this is where I talk about stuff that I want to talk about. And in particular, this hobby that I have of shaving, and you know, it's like I got a lot of hair on my face today. It might have been a week. Yeah, so a guy with a shaving hobby and shaves once a week. What's up with that? Anyhow, I was distracted. So I did some honing this morning, and I was gonna hone 2 razors. I decided not to hone 2, and the 2 out of the 2 I had, I honed 1. I videotaped that. These are older. I'm guessing they could be in the vintage category. I don't really know. One is certainly a little bit older than the other. These were finds that I got for $20 or so from antique shops and that. First one is really the first one that I had that I kind of restored. It's like a 6/8. I don't know if that devil's spit on there is starting to grow back out again. I usually once that starts, pretty hard. It had an inscription on there which you could kind of almost see a little bit. John Jay. It came in a coffin that was open on the end. There was some corrosion all the way down the edge. I had to hone up, but this was one of the earliest successes that I had in the use of convex tones. There were others, but this was an exceptional shaver for me, for something I found for $10. I do think this is that what I'm getting now is better than this, but this is where I'm going to check and see. So that's exceptionally well cutting. Some of these older razors, the grinding on them is just like, so delightfully thin. If you like thin razors, which I do, so I don't know, based on how that's shaving, I know I can get better than, a little bit better than that, but that's pretty good. The soap I'm using today is Sterling. Sterling is my favorite. I use Sterling a lot. I like all the products and everything I talk about. I don't get sponsors on anything. Nobody gives me anything. I buy all this stuff myself with my own money. But it's a unobtainium. Dunshire was, I guess, one of their scents that I don't think they make it anymore. I don't know if they can get the fragrance to put in there. The soap performance, regardless of the fragrance, the soap performance does not change unless you go from beef tallow to mutton tallow. Okay, the other item, and this is a Challenge Cutlery out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. I had found this one. This was a lot cleaner. This is a 4/8. I don't particularly like 4/8. And I had honed this up, and it has nice tight scales. I don't know what the history was on this or whatever, but it had not been used a whole lot. I think it had been honed. It was reasonably sharp. And I re-honed it. It did shave. It didn't shave that well. Okay, there was some areas in there where I thought I could do better, and I had it sitting with my honing stuff forever, and I just never really. At this point, this will move into where I keep my razors that I consider ready to shave. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not particularly fond of the 4/8 razors, with one exception, and that's under the nose. I had been thinking that what I was going to do was I was going to hone both of those and try to include a video in. I will include a video of this. I did video this one because I'm not going to do that one. Not yet. But I am going to include a video, and this way I can fast forward it. It'll be at the end of this. Okay. It'll show some of my practices and I'll speed it up and voice over it so that it because I've noticed my honing videos are long and boring. so I'm going to try and speed that one up. What do I got going on up here? Just got out of the shower. I used the Rich Man's Pre-Shave Proraso. I do like the stuff. For me, if I'm going to use a pre-shave, it's what I like to use. I've used a bunch of other stuff, including water from your soap. This soap, it's like this batch of lather is very, very well hydrated. I actually scooped out a little bit of soap and I put it in here, and it's kind of almost a little bit too airy. You're not supposed to, I think, make lather that way. Actually, though, it's, when you're shaving, you can do whatever you want with your stuff. Unless you belong to a certain bludgeon and beat down shave forum where they'll tell you what to do with your stuff. Make sure you use your stuff right. Speaking of that, you know what I was thinking about? The guy that owns that place, Joe L. Badger, or is it Joe L. Dalla? I can't remember. Okay, this guy he's always crying poor boy, okay? And needing money for something and support the forum and yada, yada, yada. Reminds me of the late 20th century televangelist Robert Tilton. Look that guy up and then tell me if Joe L. Badger doesn't fit the bill on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the shave with this because I think I've got this one. Where I want it. My honing, before you get, my honing procedure is not a conventional system type honing procedure. It's just not. I rely ultimately on what I feel of the razor in my hands on the given stones that I'm using. I rely on the packing peanut test, and I rely on visuals to see what I'm getting. And usually I find it that I'm able to reasonably predict how well a razor will shave, okay? And I think one of the reasons I wanted to revisit this one is because the difference, the big jump difference that I made on that Dovo. And how I did some things a little different, which I kind of did on this one, and you'll see it in the video. And again, these are not conventional things that in conventional thought process a lot of people would advocate. But honing razors is an art that you use to make yourself happy. And so I did these things and I cataloged them and how I did them, and they may be things that little things that people could use and pick up. Try similar things. That's what it's all about, trial and error and figuring out how to do things for yourself. So this lather lacks, while it's very, very wet, it does lack a little bit. I noticed they're moving the razor across my face. I noticed that it lacks a little bit of slickness, and it's very, very rare that you'll hear me say that Sterling soap lacks some slickness. The thing is the lather is very aerated. Okay, it's wet, very aerated. The size of the bubbles are larger. So it's less like a foam, more of a bubbly. Sudsy type thing. And it's because I put water in a bowl that I scooped some soap and threw it in a bowl, and I put water in there. And what I should have done, I was kind of blooming it because this soap I haven't used in a while. And I wanted to soften it up a little bit. I don't know why I don't just pick up the tub, and which is what I used to do. But I think this is one of those things where and you learn, and straight shaving, you learn what you like. It's one of these things where I think I could have used a little bit more slickness in the soap, a little bit more soap, and a little, I probably would have used the same amount of water, but not quite have. When you over water it, you have to whip it good. Wonder if I'll get a YouTube strike for that. That is a song, Whip It Good. So I think Leon today or the other day mentioned something about it, which I'm excited about. I did see, if you're a fan of the Superior Shave, as I am, the proprietor, Jared, is in France. He's probably traveling back today or tomorrow. He went to meet with Thierry Zassard. To bring back some video content and questions about the modern razor making in the tradition of a century-old practice. Any of you that are looking to buy Thierry Zassard equipment today or tomorrow, meaning the 18th or 19th, Jared has offered anybody a 15% discount that buys Thierry Zassard razor. That's a pretty good discount off his already competitive prices that he has on that stuff, some of the best in the world. And outfits like the Robert Tilton, Joel Badgers beat down and bludgeoned for him have trashed this guy who maybe, my opinion, he's one of the most knowledgeable folks in the arena of the old line, traditional razor making still being done in those methods today. He has the unique ability to describe, transfer information, very talented in doing that. If you've read anything that he writes in the descriptive things that he puts up on his website that he has for sale, you'll find very, very accurate descriptions, very objective. He looks at all the different sides. He tries to share with his customers the information they need to make the best decisions. The best purchasing decisions are the ones where you choose to buy and you are not sold, okay? Anybody that ever sells ice to Eskimos, there are people who think that's a good salesman. I don't think that's the case because Eskimos don't need ice. But if you went up there with blankets and heaters and gloves and snow shovels and snow blowers and displayed a bunch of products that they might need, okay, you might find that you'd have return customers. So here's the $20, along with its companion over there, the $20 antique store find. I am gonna, it's unusual, very unusual. I am gonna do a little bit of touch up on my cheeks. It's very unusual. I think I know why. I can feel that. I don't know if you can see it, but I can feel it, and I can see that razor kind of not gliding. And it's not because it's dull. If you do so choose to watch the honing, you'll see that this one almost drops into the packing peanut under its own weight. So anyhow, the bludgeon and beat down, they've bludgeoned and beat down Jared over the years a lot of times. I guess Joel Badger Tilton was not able to get enough money out of him and permitted that kind of behavior. So that'll be their loss, because they want to be the information place for shaving. They want to be the biggest. They want to be, this is the one-stop shop. This is the Walmart. This is the place to go. Just the right amount of notification that I like. I like when I put out on one, I like to feel a tingling, almost a little bit of a sting, a little bit, to know that if I get nothing, it's probably a close shave, but if I get a little bit, I've done some exfoliation, whatever that is, in my skin. So do watch for Jared, and I'm pretty sure that what you'll see is a very informative piece. I'm using Lucky Tiger Aftershave Tonic. I think one of the key ingredients in here is witch hazel. Got a bunch of other stuff in there too. So it's good. It has a mild orangey citrus type scent. I'm going to finish off with the companion to the soap, also unobtainium Dunshire. You can tell by this bottle, it's been many years since Sterling has used these bottles. So if you see them, and that was pretty good on top of that Lucky Tiger that made the citrus kind of explode. So that's the shave I'm cutting out. Hope you enjoyed the shave. Some of my sick humor about shithouse shave forums. But hang on, watch. If you want to see how I hone that razor, I'm still thinking how I'm going to put that together. I wanted to do the shave, and then a little later on today, I'll patch that all up and put it together. So this is Bill. Hope you all have a great week. Take care. Bye.
Okay, so here we are, the tool to be sharpened, Challenge Cutlery, a company that was late 19th century, early 20th century in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It's a clean piece, doesn't show much rust. I had honed this, and here's my initial test where I'm getting a push cut, but that area is a little bit struggling and it goes into the toe, so I wanted to work that one area. It's very common for me to first off reestablish the bevel, the cutting edge, before I begin doing back beveling. And here I'm using a shaped Arkansas translucent stone. This is a pretty fast cutter, and some of the different strokes that I use, where I use these circles and my X strokes. And basically, if you're honing with this method, you really have to be aware of what area you are intending to focus the abrasion on. So on those X strokes, I'll be rocking from heel to toe going across there. You'll probably have maybe a contact point of across the stone on a flexible razor, maybe between 5 and 10 millimeters. I put the glass took the glass out to take a look at that, and between the glass or some sort of magnification and that packing peanut, as you saw there, those are my primary methods to try and determine what area on the razor I need to work, and how much, and what is actually going on. So here I'm getting a little bit of a push cut if I go onto the edge, not so much a full. I went back and worked it, and I'm getting on the edge a consistent push cut going all the way across. So it's time to do the back bevel. This is the super curved 2-foot wheel size, lily white Arkansas stone. This is the fine version. This was just a super fine for me. The lubricant I'm using is a mix of ballistol and water. Ballistol is transparent. When you add water to it and shake it up, it gets that milky looking color. And even though there's a cross crown on these stones, or they look flat, there is some sort of a cross crown, and you do have to do a rocking motion. Here I'm working the heel of this, because it's very typical that the heel area is going to need some work, because anytime you do an X stroke, you drop the heel off. Some of what I felt, I believe, is attributed to getting the hone too close to the stabilizer area on there. So I was still holding my satisfactory peanut test cut, and I moved over to what I had started doing with the other week, where I'd used that new Dovo, where I would put the Sohiro 20K on the sink bridge, and pretty much always use it with some running water. Here I'm doing some conditioning of the stone, or dressing the stone. There was some sort of a spot, I don't know what it was, right there where I'm working. And the three things I use there, I use a 5,000 Nano 5000 Super Stone. Then I would use the 10,000 Super Stone, and then I would use Arkansas with a little soap. That little arc was shaped just like this big one is, and I'm looking to get it smooth. Those Arkansas stones, after you dress them with an abrasive stone, they work pretty good. So starting on this with the water running, doing the different strokes that you use. As you angle it a little bit that way, you're cutting away from the edge. If you are so that's kind of a stroke there that I like to do. I found that to be very effective. That J type stroke almost. And bear in mind that on the stones on this dimension, the long dimension off of the Jared plate, you really have to rock that razor going across, more so than a stone with a deep curve. And I'm constantly, as I go through this, I'm checking with the the two measuring devices, the packing peanut and the glass, and what I find is still in that same area. It is going to need some work. As I got into this, I found out exactly how much work that particular area needs. Uh, and I apologize that I didn't get a better camera angle on this starting off. Here, I think I'm doing some uh, edge trailing type strokes, seeing if there was something in there that I had to pull out. There's uh, a move where I'm trying to go back away from the edge into the bevel a little bit, clean it up. A lot of what I'm doing is I'm going by feel. Uh, Here I've adjusted the uh, camera a little bit so you can see a little bit, and um, this is a lot of time here on this stone. I could have, uh, gone a little bit more abrasive, but I'm trying to balance between just dancing around just behind the edge and on the edge. It's a little bit more difficult with these 4/8 razors than dancing around the edge. And here I've gone to my caudicle. This is shaped in the short dimension of the Jared plate. That's about uh, uh, a 3-foot wheel, and I'm trying to that has the advantage of being a little wider. Okay, and maybe it has a cross crown on it as well, where you got to do some rocking. Uh, Now here I'm going to take my counter stone that I had shaped into a concave shape and generate a little bit of a slurry on this caudicle to give it a self slurry, um, and it's not uncommon for me to go back and forth between the two dimensions a couple of times. The main thing to remember in this type of honing is uh, smaller wheel, more aggressive, to larger wheel, less aggressive. Here you can put a slurry on there. You could actually use a more aggressive stone, and then as you go to the edge, you're actually not having to hone quite so much. You don't have to hone the whole bevel. You're actually honing a much smaller part of the bevel, and as you get some practice and experience doing this, you'll be able to see where it is that you're working and how much you need to give it. This, like I say, these are a little bit more difficult. One advantage is that this is a pretty thin razor. After shaving with it, I noticed some a funny appearance. I'm gonna have to wait till it dries and see how it looks in a day or so, and look at it. But it looks a little weird. I had noticed that this was conspicuously void of the typical pitting and rusting. And I thought, oh well, somebody must have taken care of it. But this is a 100-year-old razor, and there are some things in there that almost lead me to indicate that this had gotten some sort of a plating on it, okay, that would prevent rust. Now, I don't know that to be the case or not. Now, these strokes where I'm going at the angle, okay, this is where some of the differential curve you put on it, when you go directly into the stone, you're hitting all the way furthest out to the edge. But when you approach that stone at that 45-degree angle, you're moving a little bit further back, and I'm still having that area towards the toe that's maybe not quite to my satisfaction. So I'll be putting some more work on there, and I'm really focusing my energy mostly. I'll be focusing my energy mostly on the one side. I'll try and get the a good shot of what the razor geometry looks like, but there is some sort of a little bit of a difference from one side to the other, and I think that has led to some of that particular issue. And here I am. I'm going more into the back bevel once more. Like I said, it's not uncommon for me to do this. And here, that's a newer slurry stone that I got that is pretty smooth. Wow, I'd like to have a whole rock like that. So, got a little bit heavier slurry to maybe be a little bit more aggressive cutting into the back bevel. And a lot of what I'm doing is in addition to the feedback that I would get from a packing peanut or a visual through a scope or a glass, is the actual feel that I'm getting as I'm doing this. I'm not using a terribly great downward pressure. I'm using an angled stroke there, which moves a little bit more towards the edge. But it's amazing the sensations that you can develop in your hand for what is actually going on with your blade and the interaction on the stone that you're working on. Here's that stroke that I had found really, really effective. This kind of almost a J. I added some liquid to that, and I'm like still working that one area where, especially on the one side of that, it was a little bit different. And then when I square things back up and move a little bit differently, it's where I'm trying to blend in an area that I specifically work to the balance of the work that I had done. So spent a pretty good bit of time. There's the shot of the geometry where you can kind of see. I move the camera here, and you could kind of see. It's almost like some of the gold dollars that I had got. I don't know how they ground this thing like this, but you could kind of see it's almost like leaning a little bit to the right as you're looking at it, and that's going to cause me to do a differential stroke from one side to the other. You can see I'm at 45 there, coming back at 90, 45 and 90, because I'm trying to address each side a little bit differently, because each side needs something a little bit different. Okay, so, and that I believe is due to some of the differences in the blade. Now, on a flat hone, you would probably want to have put a piece of tape on it and went ahead and just kind of ground it up and did what you do with your setting the bevel. I'm actually not really concerned with setting a bevel. My concern is getting the abrasive out to the edge and getting the apex created, even though there is some sort of a differences, and you'll see me work that area and then blend it back in. At this point I'm getting reasonably close to the end of the homework that I'm doing here. And there I'm still coming back. I still got that one area that I want to bring up. It's been the whole thing on this where that's the area that's been in the shortfall. It may look like I've got a lot of steel coming off based on what you see on that stone. It's really not that much. It's just really, these stones, they do dirty up quick. You saw me a couple times taking some of that diluted Dawn and squirting that on there and trying to clean it. I clean them with those Nano Super Stones. Okay, there I am. It looks like I finished up with my work on the Suhiro 20K. I'm checking the edge. I know this is the point where I know I'm reasonable, and I'm getting a push cut on partial, but not an easy enough push cut when I go for the full width of the packing peanut, but it's close. I I believe it's close enough that when I go through the strop progression, that it'll bring that in. This is the Herald chromium oxide, and here's how I show that I do the rocking stroke, where I'm going from heel to toe, and this is on the stropping motion as well as in the honing mesh. And this is a little bit exaggerated, but that shape of that balsa is the same shape as my stone. It came off of the Jared plate on the long dimension, and uh, uh, that Chromox is rated, I think, 3 to 5 microns, larger than a lot of Chromoxes are, but I've had pretty good luck with it. And those were the first 3 pastes I used. Would be the Dovo. I call it Dovo. It's made by Harold Strop. Was the green chromium oxide, the red iron oxide, the black. I don't know if that is diamond and aluminum oxide. Went through that one. Then here's where I get some real cutting. This is a newer one for me, that 1.5 micron CBN. I do really like that. So that's one I added in after I've been considering trying to get away from the Dovo paste. I don't know if I will or not, because I think coming off of the black Dovo, you can be pretty good. There's the progression move from the 1.5 to the 0.5 to the 2.5 micron CBN, and each time you can tell that you're getting a little bit easier push cut on the packing peanut. This is my final step with abrasive 10th micron CBN. There are abrasives that are a little bit smaller. I haven't tried them, and there I've got really good push cutting. This is a Rue bench drop. All this goes on that chef's knives to go plate. All of these things have a magnetic backing, and that Rue was the original material that was put together and distributed through Chef's Knives to go by Ken Schwartz with the CBN emulsions. And again, I'm sitting there. I'm not using a lot of pressure going in. I'm trying to see how good of a push cut I can get. After I go to the Rue, and that Rue is flat, the next thing I go to is this. They call that, this is another thing from Chef's Knives to go. It's called Sienna leather. It's very smooth, very fast, and you can see I'm not holding the blade. I'm just holding the scales, and this is just falling in. These are the strops that I keep back in the bedroom, that near where the bathroom is, and that's a shaped 10th micron. It's a small one. I have a big one back there too, but maintenance between shaves, you'll get that. And then I have 2 shaped, actually, including that small one I have on the real curvy, the short dimension on the Jared plate. I have a small one. I have a big one of that same. That's a Herald leather, RI leather, I think it is. Those other 2 are horsehide strops, and usually I will use the real curvy horsehide strop after shaving to try and clean the blade and not get too stressing much out on the metal. Okay, and you can see that I'm just on the weight of the razor there, lifting up the packing peanut to go in there, and there I am making fun of myself for putting a hack in my nice horsehide strop there. And there again is the same type of rolling motion where I'm rolling across the strop. Generally, most of this stuff I could probably get away with because I do that rolling motion stuff that didn't have to really be any wider than 2 inches. Now here's the final thing. I'm just holding the scales, and that razor is going right in there all the way across to that packing peanut. So there I am, challenge cutlery, ready to go to the shave, which you saw already. And here's my supply of packing peanuts before they run out. Wishing you all a great week. Take care. Bill out.